We have two pistols that, look somewhat similar, have the same attachments, but they are on complete opposite ends of the budget scale. This one comes in at about $500. Riley has about 500 bucks into it. It's a used gun, and then we bought these accessories off of Amazon to do a video. So extremely cheap stuff on here. And then over here is my gun that I built, not for any particular video, just because, I enjoy shooting pistols and I wanted a cool gun. So this one is, I don't know, maybe around 1,500 bucks, all said and done. Like I said, we have the same type of accessories, a red dot and a light on here. The gun itself on this end is much cheaper, and the gun itself on this end without the accessories is more expensive. So we're just going to kind of compare them, what we like and what we don't like about each of them. Maybe what you should look for if you're buying your first pistol, or if you want kind of the higher end upgrades, maybe what to look for there, and my experiences with this red dot and the light.
Okay, so we're going to start off here. Like Mitchell said, this is a Glock 22 Gen 4. I got it used on Gunbroker for, I believe, $350. So super good price. It was the first pistol that I had bought. I grew up shooting shotguns and rifles and bows, and I hunted all the time, but I never really shot pistols. I didn't have any growing up, so I wanted to get one when I bought my house just to keep in my nightstand. So I ended up going with this one. We put these Amazon accessories on it. We did a video about that a few weeks back. Go check that one out. We went more in depth, but these all together, this red dot light, well, I had a rubber grip on here. It was $110. So super cheap. Like he said, under 500 bucks all in all to get this thing. You can even get some bullets and you're under 500 bucks to go shoot at the range with this gun. So it's definitely a good option for someone who's just starting, just getting into it. We're going to shoot a couple rounds here, talk about it. Got to turn my red dot on. If it'll turn on. Oh, there it is. Glock makes a slide that is cut out and ready for optics. I'm not sure what optics footing, or maybe you can get different kinds, but it costs more money. This is the standard slide. We had to get this attachment that dovetails into my iron sights in order to make it work. So not the end of the world, but if you're on a budget, you're going to lose some of the compactness and some of those integrated features in this Glock. Quick 3-shot. Not bad at all. I mean, it works. It functions perfectly. I like Glock personally. There's no real reason for that. I think it's just their marketing is good, and over time they've proven themselves to be a pretty decent pistol. And this works well for me. Some people are going to want nicer stuff. Some people can probably even find stuff cheaper, especially if you're just using this as a fun pistol to plink around with. None of the niceties really matter. The red dot doesn't have a shake awake feature. As you saw me, I was having to turn it on all the way up, and to turn it off, I got to click it all the way down. There we go. Now it's off. So battery life could be an issue for something that's 50 bucks like that. Do you know how much your red dot was?
Like $330.
Gotcha. So huge difference in price. But you're, like I said, you're losing out on some of those niceties like shake awake, auto off, and different reticles. But for a budget or beginner option, it's really solid.
The battery's also underneath the red dot.
Yeah. So I can't show you because we'd have to unscrew it, and we had to customize it and Loctite it on there so it stayed. But the battery sits up underneath here. It sits directly through here. So you have to remove the red dot completely to change the battery, which is pretty inconvenient, and you could lose your zero. You'll probably be really close. But again, it's just not ideal. You're missing out on some of the niceties, but you're saving a ton of money. This light here is actually, the beam is pretty nice, and it has a solid beam and a strobe beam. You just flick this side to side. Obviously see there, it's on, and then you can hold it on like that. It's full sun. You're not going to be able to see the beam out here, but we had been looking at it in Mitchell's basement, and I'm impressed with how bright the beam is. The whole light itself is pretty light, but it's very bulky. And you can, the place where you would tighten it down just looks kind of chintzy. It's all plastic, no branding whatsoever. But for $40, it's not a bad option, and it's definitely very functional. One thing I forgot to mention about this Red Dot 2, it did track very well when we sighted it in. See, there's your elevation adjustment and your windage adjustment. But these, even just doing it with my fingernail, I was able to scratch and kind of claw up the metal there. So it's pretty cheap. It does have some good clicks, nice audible clicks, and you can feel them easily, so the adjustment's nice. But I can imagine over time you would wear this down pretty bad and then either not be able to adjust it at all, or it would just be so sloppy that you couldn't tell what you were adjusting, how far, and you could even, adjust it by accident when you put it into a bag or something like that.
Yeah, you don't like that on your expensive guns.
No. Cheap ones, it don't matter.
No, but it's coming off. Yeah, so this is on the complete other end of the budget scale. We just added up real quick, and like with tax, you're probably close to $1,500. This is a Sig Sauer P365X Macro, which comes in at about $800. A Holosun 507K, which comes in at about $320, and then a Streamlight TLR-7X, which is about $140. I've been super happy with all of it. It's a very compact little gun, and it holds 17 rounds in a not very big magazine. Super slim gun. I got this for carrying and also just keeping in my truck. First up, the Red Dot. It's very slim. The slide is cut out for a Red Dot, so it sits lower, so it's very flush. And then also the light on this is accessible without having to, or the battery is accessible without having to take the sight off. It's got shake awake, so you just leave the setting wherever you want it, and if the gun's sitting still, it'll automatically turn off and save the battery life. And they advertise something absolutely ridiculous for the amount of hours that this thing will last. So, it's really never a worry of mine about the battery on this. The buttons all feel super good. Like every little detail is just extremely noticeable. The adjustments for your up and down are very flush and nice and audible. They track really well. And also, when you buy this, you don't have to do any gunsmithing. The screws actually fit. It bolts down really tightly, and just the whole process is super, super simple. Like Riley was saying, we had to drive out the rear iron sight and then drive that plate in, mount it, drill the holes to get everything to line up because it didn't come with the right bolts. So this, super simple, super easy, very reliable. And you also have your iron sights here. Since it sits low enough, you can still use your irons if the battery or Red Dot ever did die or not work for some reason. And the light on here is super compact. It's pretty flush with the trigger guard here. Doesn't stick out much past the barrel. And then also your buttons here are so much easier to click than Riley's. It's just the price difference is all it is. Like, you get what you pay for. This is super easy as to where the lever on that gun, on that light.
So this one,
pretty hard.
Yeah, you really got to push it down. And look at the size difference too.
Yeah.
This is the size difference in these lights. I mean, Mitchell's is so much smaller. Not surprised.
And they do make like Streamlight makes a light that I have on another pistol that is bigger like that. You're gonna have a brighter light, but for carry, it's like I want something as small and compact as possible, and that's exactly what this light offers. So we're gonna shoot a little bit, and I think Riley left the door pretty wide open here as far as group size, so shouldn't be an issue. All right, there's just a handful. I don't know if it's the same as Riley shot or not, but we'll walk down and look at them. All right, so, I had the advantage here because Riley didn't really know it was a competition, but everything's a competition if you make it one. So here's my group. There's Riley's. You know, that is pure, like that's
gotta just me pulling the gun.
well, I mean, and none of this is the accessories. It's like, like you're not stringing because you're shooting a cheaper red dot. Like we already shot that thing in that last video, and it's like it's surprisingly accurate for $50. And this, you know, if you put this gun in somebody's hands who is very good at pistol shooting, they would absolutely demolish that. So, you know, the guns are, yes, way different in price point, but like end result is the same. Like they're still shooting roughly the same accuracy. You know, they're very reliable. Both these guns are extremely reliable. And it just ultimately falls into like how much do you want to spend on the pistol that you're buying and what your use for it is. If you're gonna beat the crap out of it, it's like you might not want, there's two arguments there. You might not want a super expensive one because you don't want to scratch it up and all that. But then, you know, on the flip side, it's like maybe you want to buy a more expensive gun because you believe in it more, you're more confident in it. And it's like, I'll say from the light and the red dot standpoint, it's like I am certainly more confident in these more expensive ones. So reliability is a huge one as far as the accessories. Gun wise, it's like, I think, you know, Glock is notorious for being, you know, virtually indestructible, and you know, the SIG is super tough and proven as well. But we're gonna load up some more, shoot them, and just kind of have some fun. All right, we got 13 rounds loaded up, and this is what I love so much about this gun is it's very small and compact, but holds, you know, if it was full, 17 rounds, which is just insane. It's like, you know, if you're in a self-defense scenario and you have 17 rounds, like, you know, that should be enough for what you need and to be able to get out of there. So we're just gonna shoot a little bit. Go for a headshot here. Oh, smoked him right between the eyeballs.
Yeah.
So the gun works if I work. Right next to it.
Empty.
That is just a fun gun to shoot. Let's go look at this real quick because I'm actually kind of impressed myself here, not gonna lie. So this was before the rapid fire, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 all in the head right there. I mean, that's a 3.5, 4-inch group at, let's just pace it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 yards. 14 yards for a pistol. Like I'll take that any day of the week. So now Riley's up to bat with his gun and see what he can do.
I have 13 rounds as well. A little bit bulkier. It is a 40. It's not a 9 mil, so comes standard, and it's a full size. It wasn't meant for concealment, but we'll see how this goes. I have a pretty tall order to fill here. And if I'm going to be honest with you, my confidence in beating Mitchell is low. It's not even low. It's almost non-existent. But red dot on. All right. I'm going to shoot a few, try to be accurate, and then I'm going to rapid fire. Okay, those weren't bad. Those were like 2 inches apart. I got 10 more, and we're going to rapid fire now. Wow, I couldn't even tell you. All right, we're out. Yeah, I have no idea. I wasn't even seeing the red dot, to be honest. I was just firing the gun until it clicked. All right, so these are my first 3. And I was at, like, this is where I shot earlier, so I aimed a little higher. I'm a little right, but that's my first 3 shots. Like, I'm happy with that for not being a very skilled or trained shooter. After that, I have no idea. I believe these are my holes. That's not. That's a 9 mil. They went all over the place. I mean, there's at least 6 rounds here that are unaccounted for. So if you give me time, it'll be okay. But if not, I'm just gonna hope that the sound of the gun is enough to scare whatever intruder or target that I'm shooting at, because I am in no way, shape, or form accurate at all.